आवाज येतोय?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
मध्ये
Yes, sir.
झालं होतं. परत आपण रिस्टार्ट करूया. Okay. Product qualities म्हणजे during the drying we're not producing any shrinkage to that material, right? So what are the properties, the original properties not be remaining as it is, right, without the shrinkage. Then contamination during the drying, not producing any contamination to the product. Ununiformity of the final moisture content. Moisture content in the final product, it should be uniform. Then decomposition of the product is not producing any decomposition during drying. The rate of subdivision means rate of drying, so it should be again higher. So required time to dry the material for a larger time. Required within a short period you can dry the material. Then product temperature. So the appropriate temperature should be applied to the during drying, so not be decompose that particular material. Then bulk density. If the bulk density is very high, right? So it's required the larger size to keep the material in the dryer, right? So if the density is the very high, so that's why what is this bulk density of the material, that also can be considered, because the dryers can be used, it's of the appropriate size and appropriate capacity, right? So that material should be keeping the dryers must be essential. That's why bulk density will be decided. The recovery problem, dust recovery during the drying, maybe chances there is a dust formation. And whatever the dust is formation, it will not be wasted that dust. Again, recover that dust and use for you can process that dust and use for the different product. Then solvent recovery. So if the solvent is used for the drying, you say, oh, that water, the product is containing some of the solvents, so that solvents during the drying, that solvent can remove, right? So but if you want to that solvent can be recovered, right? So this is also the one of the process. So recovery problems is there. Then these facilities are available to installation of the different dryers. So when you selecting dryers, it is very important to that to whether the place is available in your company or not, or manufacturing facilities, or the temperature. Where is the temperature facilities available with the highest temperature, lowest temperature. The humidity relativities can be controlled in that manufacturing area. The cleanliness of the air, air should be clean in that manufacturing area, so the product is not be contaminated. So whether the fuel is available to generate to start that machine or the dryers. So then available electric power, the electric power is whether is available or not, that should be again considered. The source of the wet feed. So if the material is of the wet in nature, which having the contain the more moisture, so how to feed that material into that different dryers. Then permissible noise, vibration, dust, or the heat losses. So so they're not producing any noise, any vibration, any dust formation during the drying. That should be essential. The exhaust gas outlet. So during drying, it may chances the evaporation of the some of solvent or evaporation due to after this evaporation, and this evaporation, the gas should be removed with the help of the exhaust. That should be essential. So highest drying, so the gas should be must be removed from that. The dryers must be essential with the help of the exhaust. So this is about the different dryers and the factor affecting the different when you select the dryers. Then classification of the dryers. We have seen last time again is a different material we can use. These are different. That is a solid dryers. Solids material is there. If the granules is there, so which dryers can be selected? If the paste or the sludge is there, or slurry is there, or suspension is there, so which dryer can be used to dry the material? So first you say that is solid material. This material is very solid, and if you have removed the moisture from that solid, so you can use these are the three mechanisms you can use. It is a convection and the conduction and the radiations. The convection means we can use as a mechanical point of view. Just we can give that temperature and to dry the material. This is called as convection. Conduction means we can use a vacuum dryer. Can use a different type of dried vacuum or the hot vacuum can use, and with this vacuum can remove that moisture from this material. Then with the radiation, IR lamps or the different gamma radiations can be used to dry the material again. Right. So then is convection. There's a two process again, the batch process and continuous process. So what is meaning of the batch process? So batch process means if the batch is the 50 kg, right? So whole batch we can dry at the batch, right? We lift up the dryers, and that is called as a batch process. But it's continuous drying, continuous process. So number of the batches in one batch, the one batch, two batch, three batch. So at a time, so this is a continuous process. We can start from the one batch, complete it, and start from the second batch, we can complete it, and so that process it is called as a continuous process can be used, right? Then this batch process for the mechanical dryers can be used. It is called as a tray dryer or fluidized bed dryer. Then continuous process. So all the water the material is used. The largest size of the batches can be used to dry the material with the help of the tunnel dryers, or it is also is called as the belt conveyor dryers, or rotary dryers, or the turbo dryers. Right. In conduction method, we can use a different vacuums. So, and that dryers it is called as the vacuum oven dryers and pre-drying process. In continuous process, we can use a different types of the pneumatic dryers. Right, in that dryers can uh, dry the most of the material with the help of the continuous process. These radiations, we can use the different lamps, right? So can dry the material. IR lamps, infrared radiation lamps, so can generate the heat and to remove the moisture from that material with the help of the radiations. Then paste of the cell is there, the agitation dryer is there. We can agitate that material, the solution of the suspension, right, and remove that the moisture from that material with the help of the atmospheric pressure, or we can use a vacuum. With the vacuum, so can suck that all the moisture, so can dry the material. And if you want to dry the solution form, if the solution is contains some of the solids, right, so that should be dried again with the help of this. Both these processes are there, the convection and conduction process. Convection means we can, this is a mechanical process, we can use the dry heat with the air pressure. But in conduction, there's a can use a vacuum dryer. There is a drum dryer, pan dryers, rotary dryers are there, spray dryers are there. You can use a vacuum, right? So these are about the classification. Then we'll see that different dryers can be used. So these are the different list of the equipment which are for the dryer: drum dryer, spray dryer, fluidized bed dryers, tray dryers, tunnel dryers, vacuum dryers, vacuum. There is a microwave dryers, radiant heat dryers. There is IR rates can be used, rotary dryers, and the freeze dryer. So these are the different dryers we can use for the dry the material. Is depending upon the, so we can select the dryers depending upon the material having, right, because some of the material are thermolabile. If you are giving the heat to that material, it will be decompose that material. So such material we can use as a cooling dryer. Means of filtration dryers, as well as we can use a freeze dryer with the cooling temperature can use to dry the material. That's why it is called as freeze dryer. So appropriate dryers can be selected for dry the material. Then we'll see the first dryer is called as a drum dryer, roller dryers, or the film dryer. These both are is a synonymous name are there, right? Drum dryers, roller dryers, and the film dryers. So main the principle of that drum dryer is that is made up of the heated hollow cylindrical drum. They are rotated is longitudinal axis. They are dipping into the solution to be dried, right? The solution is carried out as a film on the surface of the dryers and dried to form a layer, and dried material we can remove the help of this knife. Then next time we better understand this is a figure, right? So this is a drum, right? It's a hollow drums. We can apply the heating, right? So this is a heated drum. So this heated drums is the size is the steel drum is 0.6 to 3 mm diameter of that drum, or 0.6 to 4 meter length of that drum, right? So this drum is rotated its own axis. This is a anti-clockwise direction. You can rotate it, right? Then next is that is this called as solution. So if you want to dry that material, you can use the solution, or the suspension is there, right? So if the solution, you can dry that solution. So this is called as a feed pan. So these are some of the pan is there is contain that solution, right? And that solution, if you want to dry that solution, you can keep in that. So appropriate fitting must be necessary. So every time this dryer, this is a tip of the dryer should be deep into that solution, right? And after dipping, So this is rotate. It's continuously rotated of that the drum. Right. Then next is called as a spreader. So this is a spreader. So after that, dipping that the cylindrical drum, right? So some of the material which are stick up to that to that the drum, right? And which are coming with the that drum, right? Then this called as spreading. The spreading is essential for to spread the material uniformly on the surface of the drum, right? This is called as spreader. So spreader. So if there is a rate of drying is depending upon the thickness of the film is formed. If the thickness is very a small thickness, or is a very thickness is very small or the very thin thickness, right? Rate of drying is faster. Means so less amount of the temperature is required for dry the material, right? So this after this, so that's why it is a spreader must be essential for to spread the that material uniformly on the top, right? Then after spreading, it's from the liquid film on the top, right? So this the heated drum is there. This heated drum, it's have the temperature is maybe more than 40 or 50 degrees centigrade, right? Then this film is which are coming at that sides, so this film is dried, right? Because this drum is heated, and with as drum is heated, right? So this water the film is formed on the surface will be dried, right? And after this film is dried, right? Then this the film is which are coming into that side, and this is a one more knife is there, so you can cut that the film with the help of the knife. This is called as a doctor knife. So the knife is used to cut that the different material, different layer. You can dry the dry layer, dry film. You can cut it that and collect it at proper film or collect at the proper cutter. So this is about the simple things are there is below that is a feed fan and is there. So drum dips partially into that feed fan. So every time that drum must be dip into that solution must be required for to be uniform film form on that drum must be essential. And as soon as that's better, then knife is required. Then storage bin is also uh, collected that material. So this is about the dry this construction. This working is that the steam is passed to the inside drum. So the drum should be heated first, right? Then the drum is rotated at particular rotations. That is a 1 to 10 rotation per minute. This rotation. Then liquid which are present in the feed pan added to the surface of drum. Right. So what is the feed? That is a liquid film should be formed on that drum must be essential. The adhering of the material to the that surface of that drum should be essential. Then after adhering that, the material is dried during this rotation of the drum, right? And after drying that material, then collect in a storage bin, and we can cut it with the help of the knives and store can keep in the storage, right? The drying process is in a drum dryer is complete in a less than one cycle. So within a one cycle, can total material is dried. Okay, right? So this is a the first we can form the film, right? You can keep in the solution and added that solution on that surface of external surface of that hollow drop. Then the spread uniformly to form a thin film, right? And after the thin film is formed, that is a film is dried. After drying that material, so with the help of the knife, can cut that material right uniformly, right? Cut that material is completely, and then again the next cycle will be begin, right? So within a one cycle, so material is dried, right? So this time of contact of the material is done is only the 16 to 6 to 15 seconds. So dipping the that drum to that fitting pan in the solution, so the contact time is only the 60 to 50 minutes. Within that times, the material should be added to that surface of that uh, uh, drum. Then, so what is use of that drum dryer? So drum dryer is used for the drying the solution, slurry, suspension, right? The product is dried by our milk, or if you want to prepare the milk powder, so this same process can be used, right? Then starch products, the ferrous salts, suspension of zinc oxide, suspension of kaolin, yeast, pigment, malt extract, antibiotic, or some of this DDT, calcium, and barium carbonate. So these are the different advantages for that drum dryer is drying time is very less because one rotation can dry the material, right? Only few seconds is required for dry the material. So therefore, heat sensitive material can be dried. So because time of contact of the dried is very less. So within that the time, right? So the product is not be decomposed. That's why those how heat sensitive material also can be used for that drying purpose. Then the drum dries occupies less space. This is very less. It is compacted when compared to the spray dryer. As a thin film is liquid is formed on the larger heating surface, rates of the heat transfer and mass transfer are very high because after this film is formed on that the drum uniformly and very thinly, right? So ultimately that as another heat transfer and mass transfer. So heat transfer means that transferring the energy from inside the particles to the outside the surface, right? So it's the main process. So the energy is transferred from the inside the surface to the outside the surface, right? And that is called as a heat transfer. Then mass transfer is that so whatever the moisture on the surface should be evaporated, right? Evaporated with the help of the temperature or the drying, right? So this is both this process is very faster. It is a heat transfer and mass transfer is a very high. That's why within a short period, so dry the material is one of the advantages. The product is obtained by completely dried with the final form. Then one of these disadvantages for that dryer is that so maintenance cost of the dryer is a very high, right? So maintenance cost is the higher than spray dryer because every time you can washing that drum after the completion of the batch and wash that drums again, remove that assembly again, you can fix that assembly, right? So these are the aspect. The skilled operation must be required for that. So the skill operators must be essential. Why it is essential? So these are the 3 points should be very essential to control the feed rate, right? If the solution is not be filled to that drum, right? So not be film is formed on the drum, and after film is not be formed, so there is no question of the drying the material. So feeding should be appropriate, right? Is very essential. So can the control the rate of rotation. So that's why the film thickness is very important. If the film thickness, so the spreader is essential for to form a film on the drum. Thin film is formed on the drum. If the thickness is more, right, so it's required time to dry the material. Or within one cycle, with the one cycle, material is not be dry. That's why the film thickness must be necessary. Then speed of rotation. The speed of rotation is also very important, right? So 1 to 10 RPM. This is a rotation must be required, right? And speed of rotation. If the rotation is very high, the speed is very high. What will happen? So the material is not be added well to that surface of the drum, and there's a no question of the drying. If the speed is more, right? If the speed is less, what will happen? So excessive material which are added to that surface, and the thickness of that film is formed the very thicker, and ultimately that is the rate of drying can be increased. Means material is required for the drying, right? If the speed of rotation is varied. So temperature is also necessary. So what the film is formed on the drum, so that material should be dried, right? Such temperature should be applied to the heated drum, right? And this temperature, with the temperature, that film should be dried, and after dry that film, so can control that. So these are the very important aspect. We can remember these things, right? So control of feed rate, then film thickness, and as well as the speed of the rotation, as well as the temperature, right? So it is not suitable for solution of the salts and the less solubility. So those products have the less solubility, it cannot be used for that, right? So we'll see the one of the YouTube, then you understand better. This the YouTube, this the hello,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
this the na?
Yes, sir.
होय सर.
Yes, sir.
So this is a drum, heated drum. So this is a inlet, solution will be inlet into that. So this is a feed frame, the product is fed into that, and same product will be coming into that drum. Right? So after heating, these are two processes are there. So before we'll see that, right? So this is first half is, sorry. हॅलो, आवाज येतोय का?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
So this is a drum dryer. हा जो फर्स्ट पार्ट आहे तो हिटिंग आहे, हिटिंग दॅट ड्राइंग, and after heating this is cooling झाल्यामुळे काय होते, सॉलिड तयार होत आहे. Heating and cooling, this is both the processes are there, and after cooling the material is dried. This material is coming from outside. This is the outlet, the cool, dried and cool product. Okay. Hello, आवाज येतोय ना? Hello. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next we'll see tray dryers. So in your tray dryers, these are tray dryers. We have the hot air oven is also there. It's the same is called as tray dryers, but in industrial operation, there is a large scale of the tray dryer is used, right? So in this tray dryer, so this is the name itself, the various trays which are enclosed into the one cabinet, right? So these are the black color, these are the trays are there, one tray, two trays, three trays, and four trays. So these are total cabinets. It's a made up of the steel, right? So first is a air inlets, right? Then is a air heater, right? So can heating the air, so and we can say that dry the material. This a fan is used. This is a fan, and in the screen is there, because what will happen? What is the after this dry the material, this material is not becoming that's outside, right? That's why the screen must be required. The screen is the required. This fan is there. What is the importance of fan? So fan is used for to circulate the air uniformly into that into that the material, right? So this is a trays. These are the different trays. One, two, three, four. Right. Then this is out inlet. The air is inlet. Air inlets and the air outlet. Right. Air is coming into that sides and into this zigzag like, and after this this air is also can be outlet or the discharge with this discharge outlets, right? And again the air is coming into that. So this is continuous process to coming the air and going outside, right? So with this the dry the material. So fan is used for uniform distribution of the dry temperature, right? For the dry air to the uniformly on that the material, and the material is dry, right? So in the tray dryer, main principle is that is a hot air is continuously passing to the over wet mass. So this is a the take that material and just spread uniformly on that the trays and keeping the trays in the dryer, right? This heat transfer is takes place by the post convection. So heat transfer means that the is a moisture is removed from that the inside surface of the material to the outside surface. Okay, outside surface. So this is a heat transfer. The construction is that it's a rectangular chamber. The wall is insulated. This two double drum is there. So trays are placed in the chamber according to the need. So then this working is that so wet solid is loaded into the trays. So what is the if you want to buy the material, so you can take that all the material and informally spread on that the trays, and the trays which are keeping into that. The trays are placed in the chamber, right? Then fresh air is introduced into that the inlet chambers which are passing to the heater, and after passing to the heater, the air is heated, and this same air we can use for dry the material. Then the hot air is circulated by means of the fan is used, that is a 2 to 5 meter per second. So this is circulation of the air with the help of the fan. So fan is mainly used for circulation of the uniform air into that the material, and the dried in material uniformly. So water is peaked by the air, right? So if the heated air is transferred to that the wet material, so can pick up the moisture from that the material, and that moisture from the material, and this moisture we can again we can outlet discharge from the outlet, the remove from the outlet. So is a every time this heated air is passing to that the material, and remove the moisture from that heated air from that material, and again that what is the moisture containing we can remove from that outlet. So during this cycle of drying is 20 to 20% fresh air is into transfer. So 80 to 90% of air is circulated. So what is the heated air, the moisture air? Again, we can recirculate in the same area and use for that same purpose, right? Then this is the sticky material can be used. What is use of that? The rotary dryers. There is a tray dryers. This sticky material, plastic type of material, granular type of the material, precipitation, pest can be used for the dry that with the dryers. Crude drugs are there, chemicals are there, powders are there, tablet granules are there, right? So all is used for that dryers. Then advantages is of dryer is in the tray dryer, the handling of the materials, and the loading and uploading can be done without losses. So it is very essential to if you want to dry the material which are keeping on the dryer within a uniformly spread on that the trays must be essential, right, without wasting, right? The tray dryer is operated batch wise. The one batch for the one trays, second batch for the second trays, as per that the batch wise, if the largest of the batch is there, just you can keep the material one batch for all the trays, right? This is one of the concept. Then RIDE is operated batch wise. So each batch's material can be handled as a separate entity because each batch gives the same temperature. It's have the same properties, maybe different. Properties may be different. If you have the same temperature, if you have the different same air, right? So that all the properties may be same, right? The batch size may be industry can use 250 kg size is less than the 250 kg as compared to the chemical industry is 1000 kg because